What if a child's innocent question could shake the world's most powerful mind? Imagine the tension in a packed auditorium as the world watches a live event unfold. The crowd buzzes with excitement, eyes fixed on the stage where Elon Musk, the tech visionary and billionaire, stands ready to answer questions. Suddenly, the spotlight shifts to a small figure standing behind a microphone, Emma Carter, just 9 years old, clutching a folded piece of paper nervously. The atmosphere thickens. The moderator introduces her with a smile tinged with surprise, and here's Emma from Ohio, who's going to ask Elon her question. The room quiets, the cameras zoom in. Emma's voice trembles slightly as she asks something so simple, yet so unexpected, it halts the flow of the event. Elon's expression flickers, curiosity, surprise, maybe even a moment of discomfort. The question is direct, honest, and strikes at the heart of what many adults avoid. The audience waits, breath held, as Elon pauses, then replies thoughtfully. Social media erupts immediately. Clips of Emma's moment spread like wildfire, sparking conversations around the globe. Was this just a child's question or a challenge to the status quo? Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? The question hangs in the air as Emma's voice echoes in the minds of millions. But who is Emma? How did this 9-year-old come to stand on a stage with one of the world's most influential people? What led her to ask that question, and what did she really say that changed everything? The answers lie in a story of courage, hope, and the surprising power of youth to influence even the most powerful adults. Emma's journey didn't start under bright lights or with a microphone in her hand. It began in a small town in Ohio, where she lived with her mom and older brother. Life was not easy. Emma's mom worked long hours juggling multiple jobs to keep the family afloat. Their house was modest, a small brick home with a garage where Emma created her own little lab filled with scraps of electronics, space posters, and books borrowed from the local library. Emma was a curious child with a mind full of questions bigger than her years. From a young age, she was fascinated by stars, rockets, and the possibility of traveling to other planets. But Emma was not just curious about space, she was deeply aware of the challenges facing her own life, the struggles her mom faced, the absence of her dad, and the feeling of being overlooked at school by teachers and classmates alike. These hardships shaped her, fueling a quiet determination that she would not be ignored or underestimated. The day her school announced a contest called Ask Elon Musk Anything was the day everything changed. Emma saw this as her chance to speak directly to someone who was shaping the future of space exploration and technology. She spent days thinking, writing, erasing, and rewriting her question. Her friends laughed, calling her dream unrealistic. Teachers doubted a child could contribute anything meaningful in such a grand event. Even her mom worried about disappointment. But Emma's heart was set. When the announcement came that Emma's question had been selected, it felt like the entire world had shifted. The tension built as the live event approached. Backstage, Emma's nerves battled with excitement. She met Elon briefly before the broadcast, surprised by his warm but focused demeanor. When the moment came, Emma stood before the microphone and asked her question. Simple, direct, and profound. The silence that followed was deafening. Elon's reaction was a mix of thoughtfulness and surprise. What Emma said wasn't just a question, it was a challenge to think differently about the future and the role of young people in shaping it. Social media exploded. Support poured in from parents, educators, scientists, and strangers around the world inspired by Emma's courage and clarity. Yet criticism and skepticism also surfaced. What can a child know? Some asked. It's just a publicity stunt, others claimed. Emma's world flipped overnight. She found herself at the center of a whirlwind she hadn't imagined. Interviews, messages, praise, and pressure collided. But through it all, Emma held on to her dream, not just to ask questions but to inspire change. Her relationship with her mom grew deeper, her brother remained a steady source of strength, and new allies emerged from unexpected places. This story is about more than a moment on stage. It's about how one voice, no matter how small, can ignite a spark that challenges the world's greatest minds. Emma's journey from a quiet kid in Ohio to a beacon of hope for youth empowerment is a testament to resilience, curiosity, and the power of asking the right questions at the right time. What follows is a story full of twists, setbacks, triumphs, and lessons that remind us all, no matter where you come from or how young you are, your voice matters. So, as you read, think about your own questions and dreams. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Because sometimes, the smallest voices can start the biggest changes. Emma Carter was a girl with an old soul trapped in the body of a 9-year-old. Born in a small town in Ohio, she had spent most of her life surrounded by quiet streets, the hum of cicadas in summer, and the steady rhythm of her mom's footsteps coming home late from work. Her house was modest, a 2-bedroom brick home with chipped paint on the front porch and a backyard that doubled as Emma's makeshift science lab. Emma's mom, Rachel, was a single mother who worked tirelessly to keep the family afloat, juggling 2 jobs at once, sometimes 3. She cleaned offices during the day, worked as a cashier in the evenings, and on weekends she babysat for neighbors. Money was tight, but Rachel never let Emma forget how much she was loved. "You can be anything you want," Rachel would say as she kissed Emma goodnight, even when her eyes were heavy with exhaustion. Emma's father had left when she was only 4, a shadow in her earliest memories, his absence leaving a quiet ache she couldn't quite name. She didn't blame him, she barely remembered him. But sometimes, when she watched other kids playing with their dads, she felt the sharp sting of being different, of missing out. Her older brother, Jake, was her anchor. At 12, he was tall for his age and protective of Emma in a way that made her feel safe. They shared a bond forged through shared struggles and secret dreams. Jake wasn't just her brother, he was her best friend and sometimes her fiercest defender, especially when the other kids at school teased Emma for being weird or too smart. School was a difficult place for Emma. She loved to learn, especially about space, rockets, and science, but the classroom was often a place where she felt invisible or out of place. Teachers sometimes dismissed her questions as too advanced or irrelevant, and the other kids didn't quite know how to connect with a girl who could rattle off facts about Mars or the speed of light but struggled to make small talk at recess. Emma's refuge was the garage behind their house, a cluttered space filled with broken electronics, old batteries, wires, and stacks of books from the library. She had set up a little workbench where she tinkered, creating little experiments and models of rockets and planets. This was her sanctuary, a place where imagination soared higher than any playground. Her fascination with space wasn't just about the stars. It was about hope. Emma believed that somewhere out there, beyond the darkness of the universe, there was a place where anything was possible, a place where her life didn't have to be defined by struggle or loneliness. Emma's mind was constantly buzzing with questions. Why do rockets explode? How do astronauts breathe in space? Could people live on Mars one day? Most of all, she wondered if someone like her, a small girl from a small town, could ever be part of those big adventures. She often stayed up late, gazing out her bedroom window at the twinkling night sky, clutching a worn-out teddy bear and whispering dreams to the stars. Her mom noticed those moments and never interrupted. Rachel understood that Emma's dreams were her lifeline, the thing that kept her daughter going through tough days. One evening, after Emma had gone to bed, Rachel sat alone in the living room, looking at a faded photo of her own childhood, a simpler time before responsibilities took over. She thought about the sacrifices she was making and wondered if they were enough. "You're going to do great things, Em," she whispered into the darkness. The family's financial struggles were constant. Sometimes the electricity got cut off, or the car broke down at the worst possible moment. But Rachel never let Emma see the full weight of it. She shielded her daughter from the harsh realities whenever she could, wrapping her in warmth and encouragement. Still, Emma sensed the tension beneath the surface. She knew how hard her mom worked and how much they were missing compared to other kids at school, the latest gadgets, weekend trips, even just a night out for pizza. These feelings fueled Emma's resolve. She wanted more than just a better life for herself, she wanted to inspire others to believe that no matter where you start, your dreams can take you anywhere. Emma's best friend was a girl named Lily, who lived 2 houses down. Lily was different. Quiet, artistic, with a love of drawing, but the 2 girls connected over a shared curiosity about the world. Lily was the one who first told Emma about the contest at school, Ask Elon Musk Anything. Emma's eyes lit up. Elon Musk was a name she had heard everywhere, in books, on TV, and online. He was the man behind rockets and electric cars, someone who seemed to be making the impossible possible. For Emma, this was a chance, a rare chance, to speak directly to a person who was making her dreams real. But doubt crept in. Could a 9-year-old really ask something that mattered? What if her question was silly or boring? What if she embarrassed herself? The night before the contest, Emma sat at her little desk in the garage, scribbling questions on a scrap of paper. "What do you want to know, Em?" Jake asked, leaning against the doorframe. Emma hesitated but then shared her thoughts. She wanted to ask about the future of space travel and how kids like her could help shape it. Jake nodded slowly, pride shining in his eyes. "You've got this. Just be yourself." The next morning at school, Emma's excitement was met with mixed reactions. Some kids teased her, saying Elon Musk didn't have time for questions from kids. Teachers seemed indifferent, telling her to keep expectations realistic. But Emma's mom surprised her with quiet support. "Ask whatever you want. Sometimes the hardest questions are the ones that make people think." That encouragement became Emma's fuel. She spent hours refining her question, making sure it was clear but meaningful. The day the school announced the finalists was a turning point. Emma's name was on the list. Her heart pounded. This wasn't just about a contest anymore, it was a moment to prove that a kid from Ohio could be heard on a stage that mattered. Yet beneath the excitement, a storm of nerves and uncertainty raged inside her. She wondered what Elon Musk would think of a question from a little girl. Would he listen? Would he care? The story of Emma Carter is not just the story of a bright, curious child. It's the story of a family holding on against the odds, of a young girl's fierce hope in the face of doubt, and of the quiet courage it takes to stand up and speak when the world seems too big and too complicated. Emma's journey from the small town of Ohio to the global spotlight was just beginning. The challenges ahead would test her spirit, but the foundation built by her family, her dreams, and her determination would carry her forward in ways no one expected. Emma Carter's world was a blend of ordinary and extraordinary moments, a quiet life punctuated by bursts of imagination and a hunger to understand the universe beyond her small Ohio town. Every morning, she woke before sunrise, the sky still wrapped in a soft navy blue as her mom prepared breakfast in the kitchen. The smell of coffee mingled with the sound of sizzling bacon, and Rachel's tired smile warmed the room. Emma didn't complain about early mornings, instead, she used those peaceful moments before school to study her books on space and science. She loved to trace her fingers over pictures of astronauts floating in zero gravity, rockets blasting off into the unknown, and distant planets that seemed to beckon with promises of adventure. At school, Emma was quiet but observant. She wasn't the fastest runner in recess or the loudest in class discussions, but she was always the one raising her hand to ask the why and how questions that sometimes made teachers pause and think. Her classmates were a mixed crowd, some curious, some indifferent, others openly mocking her passion for space. "Why do you care so much about rockets anyway?" a boy named Tyler once sneered, pushing his lunch tray a little too hard. Emma had no good answer besides a simple, steady belief that there was more to life than what she saw around her. When she returned home from school, Emma retreated to her sanctuary, the garage. It was cluttered and chaotic, a place where broken toys, wires, and empty soda cans mixed with books on physics and astronomy. Emma's workbench was her kingdom, where she could build small inventions and dream big. Her most prized possession was a model rocket kit her mom had saved up to buy on Emma's last birthday. She had spent weeks assembling it carefully, reading the instructions over and over, and imagining what it would be like to launch it into the sky. The garage walls were plastered with posters of galaxies, star charts, and famous quotes from astronauts and scientists. Above her desk hung a faded photo of the first moon landing, a reminder that humans had reached beyond Earth's boundaries before. Emma believed that someday, she could be part of that history. Her relationship with her mom was the heartbeat of her life. Rachel was not just a provider but a source of wisdom and encouragement. Even after long, exhausting shifts, Rachel never failed to ask about Emma's day or to listen when Emma shared her latest idea or question. "You have to dream bigger than anyone else, Em," Rachel told her one night as they sat on the porch swing, the cool air filled with the scent of fresh-cut grass. "People might doubt you, but your dreams are yours. Hold on to them." Sometimes, Emma caught glimpses of her mom's weariness, the way she rubbed her temples after a hard day or the quiet sighs she let out when the bills piled up. But Rachel never showed those worries to Emma. Instead, she focused on building a home filled with love and hope, teaching Emma that even when life was tough, they could find strength in each other. Jake, Emma's older brother, was a constant presence. Though he was busy with middle school and his own challenges, Jake always made time to encourage Emma. He was the one who helped her with science projects, who cheered the loudest when she won a school award for curiosity and creativity, and who protected her from the harsh words of other kids. Jake understood Emma's need to belong and to be seen not just as a kid but as someone with a future worth fighting for. Their bond was unspoken but deeply felt, a foundation of loyalty and love. Emma's weekends were a mix of chores and adventure. She helped her mom with grocery shopping, cleaned the house, and took care of their small dog, Rusty. But she also spent hours reading books about stars, watching documentaries about space missions, and sketching designs for inventions that might one day change the world. Her mind was a constant whirl of possibilities, fueled by the stories she devoured and the questions she asked herself late at night. School was not always kind to Emma. Some teachers admired her intelligence, but others found her challenging or distracting. She often felt like an outsider among classmates who cared more about sports or social status than about science and dreams. Emma learned to navigate these challenges with quiet resilience, finding comfort in her family and her passions. Despite the loneliness, she refused to let go of her dreams. One day, Emma's teacher announced a contest that would change everything: ask Elon Musk anything. The announcement sent a ripple of excitement through the school. Elon Musk was a name everyone recognized, a man who was shaping the future with rockets, electric cars, and ideas that seemed pulled from science fiction. Emma's heart raced at the thought of having a chance to ask him a question. The contest rules were simple: students could submit one question to be selected for a live Q&A with Elon Musk. Emma's mind flooded with possibilities. What would she ask? How could she make her question stand out? Doubts crept in. What if her question wasn't good enough? What if Elon Musk didn't care about what a kid had to say? But the spark inside her refused to die out. Emma spent nights thinking and writing, folding and refolding pieces of paper with her questions scrawled in careful handwriting. Her mom noticed her restless energy and encouraged her, reminding her that asking questions was the first step toward making change. "Sometimes the biggest ideas come from the smallest voices," Rachel said softly. As the contest deadline approached, Emma's excitement mingled with anxiety. At school, some kids laughed at her ambition. "Why waste your time? He's a billionaire, he doesn't have time for kids," one sneered. Emma learned to tune out the negativity and focus on what mattered, her belief that even a 9-year-old could make a difference. The day the finalists were announced felt like waiting for a rocket launch. Emma's heart pounded when she saw her name on the list. It was a moment of triumph but also the beginning of a new challenge. She would have to face the world, the cameras, the expectations, and most of all, Elon Musk himself. As the event drew near, Emma's world shifted. Schoolwork became harder to focus on. Her friends, like Lily, cheered her on, but the pressure mounted. Emma spent hours rehearsing what she might say, practicing calm breathing, and imagining the moment when her question would be heard by millions. The garage became even more important. A place to escape nerves and remember why she dreamed in the first place. Emma's story is one of quiet strength and big dreams born from a small town. It's about a girl who refuses to be limited by her age or circumstances and who believes that the universe is bigger than any obstacle she faces. The journey ahead would test Emma's courage in ways she hadn't imagined, but in this ordinary world filled with challenges, her extraordinary spirit was ready to shine. Emma's moment in the spotlight was approaching faster than she could have imagined, and with it came a whirlwind of emotions she hadn't prepared for. The school announced the live event date, a big auditorium filled with students, teachers, parents, and media, broadcasting her question directly to Elon Musk. At first, the excitement coursed through her veins like electricity. She pictured herself standing confidently on that stage, speaking clearly, inspiring others. But as the day grew nearer, doubt crept in like a shadow. Emma's classmates, who once treated her with mild indifference, now buzzed with gossip, some curious, others skeptical, and a few downright hostile. What if she makes a fool of herself? Tyler whispered loudly enough for Emma to hear in the hallway. Another group laughed, mimicking her soft voice and serious expression. Emma felt her cheeks burn but held her head high. The school hallways suddenly felt colder, the eyes sharper. Her closest friend Lily stood by her side, whispering encouragement, but Emma knew not everyone was rooting for her. The pressure mounted when her teachers, who had been supportive at first, began to question the wisdom of spotlighting a child in such a high-profile event. "Are you sure this is a good idea, Emma?" her science teacher asked gently after class. Sometimes adults don't respond well to kids stepping into their world. The word stung. Emma wanted to prove she belonged, that her voice mattered, but the doubt planted itself in her mind like a stubborn weed. At home, Rachel noticed the change. Emma's usually bright and eager demeanor gave way to quiet moments of worry and restlessness. Rachel tried to reassure her, sharing stories of times she'd felt small and unheard but pushed through anyway. "Sometimes the hardest roads lead to the most beautiful places," she told Emma one evening as they sat on the porch swing. Emma clung to those words, but fear lingered. The night before the event, Emma barely slept. Images of standing alone on stage with millions watching played on repeat in her mind. What if she forgot her question? What if Elon Musk dismissed her? What if this was all a mistake? When the morning arrived, the auditorium buzzed with anticipation. Emma's heart pounded so loudly she was sure the whole room could hear. Backstage, she waited with the other finalists, a mix of kids and teens, all nervous but excited. Then came the moment. Emma was called to the stage. The spotlight blinded her for a moment as she stepped to the microphone. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was steady when she spoke. "Mr. Musk, how do you think kids like me can help build the future of space travel?" The room was silent. Elon Musk looked at her, his usual confident smile replaced by a thoughtful expression. "That's a great question, Emma," he said finally. "The future depends on curious minds like yours. Keep asking questions, keep learning, and one day you might build the rockets that take us to Mars." Relief flooded Emma, and the applause was thunderous. But as she left the stage, the whispers began. Some praised her courage, calling her a role model. Others questioned whether the event was a gimmick. Online, the clip of her question went viral, but so did the criticism. "Just a cute kid, nothing serious," one commenter wrote. "Why waste time on children when we have real problems?" Emma felt the weight of those words. The very moment that should have felt like a victory was tainted by doubt and negativity. At school, the teasing intensified. Some kids saw her as a target, a symbol of what they didn't understand or feared. Tyler pushed her in the hallway one day. "You think you're so smart. "You're just a kid," he sneered. Emma fought back tears but refused to retaliate. Instead, she leaned on Jake, who stood up for her fiercely. "Leave her alone, Tyler," Jake growled. But even Jake's protection couldn't shield Emma from the growing tension. The conflict wasn't just external. Inside her, Emma battled feelings of insecurity and confusion. She wondered if she had made a mistake by stepping into the spotlight. Was her voice really worth hearing? Was she just a novelty, a momentary distraction for the adults around her? The school counselor offered support, encouraging Emma to focus on her passions and reminding her that change often comes with resistance. "Not everyone will understand you now, but your ideas have power," the counselor said. Emma clung to that hope. At home, Rachel and Jake became her refuge. Rachel reminded her that greatness often starts with a single brave step and that every challenge was an opportunity to grow stronger. Jake shared stories of his own struggles with fitting in and how he learned to be proud of who he was. Emma's question had opened a door, but it also brought new challenges she hadn't expected. The journey to being heard was more complicated than she imagined, filled with moments of doubt and conflict. But with each obstacle, Emma's resolve deepened. She realized that asking a question was just the beginning. To change the world, she would have to face the storm with courage, holding tight to the hope that fueled her dreams. This rising conflict shaped Emma in profound ways, teaching her that courage wasn't the absence of fear but the willingness to move forward despite it. Her journey was no longer just about space or rockets, it was about finding her voice and learning what it meant to stand up for her dreams when the world seemed determined to silence her. The days following the live Q&A event with Elon Musk were a whirlwind of new experiences and unexpected challenges for Emma. The video of her question had exploded online, reaching millions of people around the world. Emma went from being a quiet girl in a small Ohio town to a face recognized by strangers in a heartbeat. At school, the teasing still lingered, but now it mixed with curiosity and respect. Some kids approached her, asking questions about space or her experience talking to Elon Musk. Others wanted selfies or autographs, turning Emma into an unlikely local celebrity. The sudden attention was overwhelming. Emma found herself navigating unfamiliar territory, media interviews, social media messages, and invitations to speak at events she had never imagined attending. Her mom, Rachel, worked overtime to keep everything as normal as possible, but the changes were hard to ignore. One afternoon, Emma sat at her desk in the garage, her mind swirling with thoughts about the future. The quiet space she had always used to dream suddenly felt too small, too cramped for the possibilities unfolding before her. That's when an unexpected opportunity arrived, an invitation from a nonprofit organization dedicated to inspiring young innovators to join a summer science camp at a nearby university. The camp promised hands-on experiments, mentorship from scientists and engineers, and a chance to meet other kids who shared Emma's passion for discovery. At first, Emma hesitated. The idea of leaving home for weeks was daunting. What if she didn't fit in? What if she failed? But the memory of Elon Musk's words echoed in her mind, keep asking questions, keep learning. This was her chance to grow, to push beyond the limits she had always known. With her mom's encouragement and Jake's promise to keep things running at home, Emma decided to take the leap. The first day at camp was a whirlwind of sights, sounds, and faces. Emma was both excited and nervous as she stepped onto the sprawling campus, surrounded by towering buildings, shiny labs, and groups of kids chatting about projects she barely understood. She quickly realized this was a place where curiosity ruled, where questions were the currency of conversation. Emma was assigned to a group led by Dr. Martinez, a passionate astrophysicist who spoke with a contagious enthusiasm about the mysteries of the cosmos. Dr. Martinez took a special interest in Emma, impressed by her knowledge and determination. "You remind me of myself at your age," she said with a warm smile. The camp was a whirlwind of activities, from building small rockets to coding robots, from stargazing nights to lectures about the future of space exploration. Emma soaked it all in, eager to learn and to prove herself. But the journey was not without its trials. Some of the older kids looked down on her because of her age. A few dismissed her ideas or spoke over her during group projects. Emma felt the sting of exclusion but remembered the resilience she had practiced before. Instead of retreating, she doubled down on her efforts, asking questions, volunteering for challenges, and showing a quiet confidence that gradually earned respect. One evening, the group was tasked with designing a model of a sustainable habitat on Mars. Emma's mind raced as she sketched ideas of solar panels, water recycling systems, and protective domes. When it was her turn to present, she spoke passionately about the need for innovation and teamwork to make space colonization possible. Her presentation was met with applause, and even some of the skeptics nodded in approval. The camp was not just about science, it was about discovery of self, of potential, and of the power of community. Emma forged friendships with kids from different backgrounds and experiences, each bringing unique perspectives to their shared dreams. One of her new friends, Maya, a tech-savvy girl with a quick wit, became a constant companion, encouraging Emma to dream bigger and to never settle for less. As the weeks passed, Emma's confidence grew. The camp culminated in a science fair where each group showcased their projects to parents, professors, and local media. Emma's Mars habitat model attracted attention, and she was invited to speak about her vision for the future. Standing before a crowd of adults and peers, Emma felt a surge of pride and purpose. She spoke not just as a curious kid, but as a young leader ready to take on the challenges ahead. Yet amid the triumph, Emma faced a new, unexpected challenge. A reporter asked her a question that struck deep. "Emma, what do you think it means to be a young girl dreaming of changing the world of science and space?" The question was simple but loaded with meaning. Emma hesitated, then answered honestly. "It means believing in yourself, even when others don't. It means knowing that your voice matters, no matter your age or where you come from. And it means being ready to work harder than anyone else to make those dreams real." The crowd erupted in applause. Emma realized that her journey was more than personal ambition, it was a message of hope for anyone who ever felt too small to matter. The summer camp was a turning point, a chapter in Emma's story where she learned that the road to discovery is paved with challenges but also with community and courage. When she returned home, the small garage lab no longer felt like the limit of her world. It was a launchpad, a place where dreams took flight and where the seeds of the future were planted. Rachel and Jake welcomed her back with pride and hugs, knowing that Emma had taken a giant step forward. But the journey was far from over. Emma's question to Elon Musk had opened doors, but new questions and challenges awaited. As she looked up at the stars from her bedroom window that night, Emma felt a sense of purpose that burned brighter than ever. The universe was vast, and her journey had only just begun. Emma's journey reached a turning point that no one could have predicted, a moment when hope and hardship collided in a way that would forever change her life. The summer camp had ended with triumphs and new friendships, but back home in Ohio, life was far from perfect. Rachel's health, already fragile from years of stress and exhaustion, suddenly worsened. One chilly autumn evening, Emma found her mom sitting quietly on the couch, her face pale and eyes heavy with pain. Rachel tried to brush it off with a tired smile, but Emma knew something was wrong. The next day, after a series of doctor visits and tests, the devastating truth emerged: Rachel had a serious illness that would require treatment and time away from work. Emma's world, which had been expanding with possibility and dreams, suddenly felt like it was closing in. Her mom, who had been her rock, now needed support herself. Emma struggled to understand the weight of this new reality. How could she chase her dreams when the person she loved most was fighting for her health? The nights grew long and filled with worry. Emma stayed up late, researching Rachel's illness and learning everything she could about treatments and prognosis. She felt a mix of fear and determination. The same drive she had used to face the challenges at school and at camp now fueled her desire to help her mom. Jake stepped up in ways Emma hadn't seen before. He took on more responsibilities at home, helped with chores, and was always there to listen when Emma needed to talk. Their bond deepened as they navigated this difficult chapter together. One evening, sitting by her mom's bedside in the hospital, Emma held Rachel's hand and whispered, "We're going to get through this. Just like I'm going to keep reaching for the stars, I'm going to be here for you." Rachel smiled weakly, her eyes shining with love and pride. "You're stronger than you know, Em. Keep that fire alive." Despite the pain and uncertainty, Emma refused to let go of her dreams. She found comfort in her passion for space and science, using it as a way to escape the heaviness of the moment. Her garage lab became a sanctuary once more, a place where she could channel her emotions into creativity and discovery. But the emotional toll was heavy. At school, Emma's focus faltered. Her grades slipped, and her once unshakable confidence wavered. Some teachers noticed and offered support, while others grew frustrated. Emma felt torn between the roles of daughter, student, and dreamer. The pressure seemed unbearable at times. Then came another blow. News came that the nonprofit science camp would not be able to sponsor Emma's participation in an advanced program she had been accepted into, an exclusive workshop with engineers from SpaceX. The reason was simple: funding cuts and the uncertainty of Emma's home situation. The disappointment was crushing. Emma had worked so hard, and now this opportunity seemed to slip through her fingers. She wrestled with feelings of unfairness and doubt. Was she meant to chase these dreams after all? In a quiet moment, Emma confided in Maya, her camp friend and new mentor. "I feel like everything's falling apart," she admitted. "How do you keep going when the world keeps telling you no?" Maya's eyes softened. "You keep going because your dreams are bigger than the obstacles. Because one day, someone will need what you have to offer. And because giving up is not an option." Those words stayed with Emma. She realized that setbacks were part of the journey, not the end of it. With renewed determination, she reached out to local organizations, community leaders, and even started a crowdfunding campaign to raise money for the SpaceX workshop. It wasn't easy. There were moments of frustration and fear that she wouldn't succeed. But the support she received from neighbors, teachers, and strangers online reminded her that she was not alone. Her story had inspired many, and people wanted to help her keep reaching. As Rachel's health slowly improved with treatment, Emma felt a new sense of balance returning to her life. The struggles had tested her in ways she never imagined, but they also revealed a strength she hadn't known she possessed. She learned that hope could exist alongside hardship and that love and sacrifice were powerful forces that shaped her journey. The emotional climax came during a community event where Emma was invited to speak about her experiences. Standing before a crowd, she shared her story, not just the moments of triumph, but the pain and challenges as well. "Life isn't always easy," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "Sometimes the things we want most seem out of reach. But if you hold on to hope and keep pushing forward, you can change your story." The room erupted in applause, and Emma felt a profound sense of connection and purpose. This moment was a turning point, a powerful reminder that her journey was bigger than any single achievement. It was about resilience, love, and the courage to keep dreaming. That night, looking up at the stars from her bedroom window, Emma felt a quiet peace. The universe was vast and full of mysteries, but she no longer felt small or powerless. She was part of something greater, a story of hope and possibility that was still unfolding. The emotional climax of Emma's story revealed the true depth of her character. She was not just a girl with big dreams, she was a young woman learning the meaning of sacrifice, strength, and the power of hope. And as her journey continued, she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would face them with courage and heart. The months that followed were a test of Emma's endurance and spirit, but also a time of profound growth and reflection. Rachel's health improved steadily, thanks to treatment and the unwavering support of her family. Slowly, the heavy cloud that had hung over their household began to lift, replaced by a quiet hope that felt both fragile and fierce. Emma's life settled into a new rhythm, balancing school, her passion for science, and her role as a caretaker and daughter. She had grown stronger through the struggles, learning lessons that went far beyond textbooks or science experiments. At school, Emma's classmates began to see her in a new light, not just as the girl who talked to Elon Musk, but as someone who faced real challenges with courage and grace. The teasing faded, replaced by genuine respect and friendship. Emma found herself becoming a leader among her peers, inspiring others to pursue their own passions despite obstacles. The crowdfunding campaign she had launched for the SpaceX workshop surpassed its goal, thanks to the generosity of strangers touched by her story. With the funds secured, Emma attended the workshop, where she was surrounded by brilliant minds and mentors who encouraged her to think bigger and dream even further. The experience was transformative, opening her eyes to the vast possibilities ahead. One evening, after returning home from the workshop, Emma sat with Rachel and Jake in the warm glow of their living room. The hardships they had endured had drawn them closer, weaving a bond that was unbreakable. Emma shared her dreams with them, plans to study aerospace engineering, to one day work on missions to Mars, and to inspire other young girls to reach for the stars. Rachel smiled, her eyes filled with pride and love. "You've come so far, Emma. Remember, no matter where you go or what you do, family is your foundation." Jake nodded, "We're behind you every step of the way." Emma realized then that her journey was not just about space or science, it was about love, sacrifice, and the strength found in connection. She understood that the obstacles she had faced were part of a greater story, one of resilience and hope that could inspire others. Reflecting on her path, Emma thought back to that unforgettable day when she asked Elon Musk her question. It had sparked a chain reaction, leading her to places she had never imagined. But more importantly, it had taught her that a single voice, no matter how young or small, could ignite change. She often returned to the line she shared with her audience in the early days: "What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?" For Emma, the answer had become clear: love and belief in herself. The story that began with a curious question had evolved into a powerful journey of growth, discovery, and transformation. Emma had learned that life is full of surprises, but love will always lead the way. As she looked toward the future, she carried with her the lessons of the past, the strength to face adversity, the courage to keep dreaming, and the understanding that she was never truly alone. Emma's story was far from over. With each new challenge and opportunity, she continued to grow, inspire, and reach for the stars. And in doing so, she showed the world that sometimes, the smallest voices can make the biggest impact. With the experience of the SpaceX workshop behind her, Emma returned home fueled by a fresh wave of inspiration and determination. The workshop had been everything she hoped for and more, surrounded by cutting-edge technology, passionate engineers, and innovative projects. Emma felt like she was finally stepping into the future she dreamed of. Yet, the more she learned, the more she realized how much there was still to discover and achieve. The world of space exploration was vast and complex, and Emma knew that her journey was only beginning. Back home, she found herself eager to share her new knowledge and ideas with anyone who would listen. At school, she started a science club focused on space and technology, inviting students of all ages and interests to join. The club became a vibrant space for curiosity and creativity, where kids could build rockets, code robots, and discuss the latest discoveries in astronomy. Emma loved seeing the excitement in their eyes as they explored new concepts together. Her leadership skills grew as she learned to encourage others, manage projects, and solve problems collaboratively. Outside of school, Emma continued working in her garage lab, now outfitted with new tools and equipment she had received as gifts from supporters inspired by her story. Her experiments grew bolder and more sophisticated, reflecting the knowledge she had gained from the workshop. She was working on a prototype for a miniaturized drone designed to explore the harsh environments of Mars. A concept she had developed after hearing about the challenges faced by current rovers. Emma's mind buzzed with possibilities. But with new horizons came new challenges. Balancing her schoolwork, club responsibilities, and personal projects was demanding. There were days when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her. The pressure to live up to the expectations of others, her family, teachers, supporters, and even herself, weighed heavily. Sometimes she felt isolated, caught between the world of a typical ninth grader and the extraordinary path she was forging. Despite the challenges, Emma found solace in her community. The friends she made at the science camp and workshop remained close, often video chatting late into the night to share ideas and support each other's goals. Maya, now her closest confidant, encouraged Emma to take breaks, to remember that rest was as important as hard work. "Burnout won't get you to Mars," Maya joked once, a reminder that even the most driven need balance. Emma's family remained her anchor. Rachel, though still recovering, cheered Emma on at every step, proud of her daughter's resilience and passion. Jake helped with household chores and even learned a bit about coding and robotics to keep up with Emma's projects. Their home was filled with laughter, learning, and a shared belief in the future. One afternoon, Emma received an unexpected email that would open yet another door. It was an invitation to speak at a youth innovation conference in California, alongside other young leaders and inventors. The opportunity was thrilling but daunting. It meant traveling across the country, speaking in front of a large audience, and representing her community on a national stage. After discussing it with Rachel and Jake, Emma accepted the invitation. She knew this was another step toward making her dreams a reality. Preparing for the conference became a project in itself. Emma crafted a presentation that told her story, from her humble beginnings in Ohio to the moment she asked Elon Musk a life-changing question, through the struggles and triumphs that shaped her. She wanted to inspire others to believe in their own potential and to understand that every voice, no matter how small, mattered. When the day of the conference arrived, Emma stepped onto the stage with a calm confidence she hadn't felt before. The bright lights and crowded auditorium no longer intimidated her, instead, they fueled her energy. She spoke passionately about curiosity, perseverance, and the power of community. Her message resonated deeply with the audience, many of whom were young people just like her, searching for their own paths. After the speech, Emma was approached by a group of mentors and scientists eager to connect with her. They offered guidance, internships, and invitations to participate in cutting-edge research projects. Emma realized that her network was growing, and with it, her ability to make a real impact. Yet amidst the excitement, Emma remained grounded. She remembered the moments of fear and uncertainty, the nights spent worrying about her mom's health, the teasing at school, and the times she doubted herself. Those experiences had shaped her into who she was today, not just a dreamer, but a fighter. As she looked out over the city skyline from her hotel room that night, Emma felt a deep gratitude for the journey so far and a fierce determination for what lay ahead. The universe was wide open, full of mysteries waiting to be unraveled. Emma was ready to explore every inch of it, to push boundaries, and to show the world that young voices could change everything. The new horizons before her were vast and unknown, but Emma knew one thing for certain: she would never stop reaching for the stars. Emma's path forward, though bright with promise, was quickly shadowed by a series of unexpected challenges that tested her resolve in ways she had never imagined. Returning home from the Youth Innovation Conference in California, Emma felt energized and ready to dive into her projects with renewed passion. But life, as it often does, had other plans. The first challenge came in the form of an invitation to join a summer internship with a local aerospace startup, a dream opportunity that could open doors to real-world experience. However, the internship demanded more time and commitment than Emma had anticipated. Between school responsibilities, the science club she had founded, and her ongoing care for Rachel, Emma found herself stretched thin. The delicate balance she had worked so hard to maintain began to falter. Jake noticed the strain and tried to help by taking on additional tasks at home, but even with their combined efforts, the pressure mounted. Emma started missing deadlines, feeling exhausted during class, and losing the spark that had once driven her. The second challenge was more personal. Despite the progress in Rachel's health, the illness had left lingering effects that required constant attention and emotional support. Rachel struggled with moments of frustration and fatigue, and Emma found herself needing to be both a caregiver and a source of positivity. The weight of responsibility was heavy, especially for someone so young. At school, the social landscape shifted in complicated ways. Some classmates, who once admired Emma's accomplishments, grew distant, intimidated by her growing reputation. Others envied the attention she received and spread rumors that chipped away at her confidence. The bullying that had seemed to fade returned, this time with a sharper edge. Emma felt isolated, caught between the worlds of a typical teenager and an aspiring scientist. In those moments, she questioned whether the sacrifices were worth it. The third challenge emerged when the aerospace startup announced budget cuts that put Emma's internship in jeopardy. Funding uncertainties meant she might lose the opportunity just as she was beginning to prove herself. The disappointment hit hard. Emma had invested time and energy into the work, forming connections and learning new skills, only to face the possibility of losing it all. But rather than giving in to despair, Emma leaned on the lessons she had learned throughout her journey. She reached out to her mentors, teachers, and friends, seeking advice and support. Maya encouraged her to explore alternative paths, suggesting that setbacks were often hidden opportunities in disguise. Emma also found solace in her writing and storytelling, using her blog to share her struggles and triumphs honestly. The response was overwhelming. Messages of encouragement poured in from readers across the country who related to her story and admired her resilience. One particularly impactful moment came when Emma was invited to speak at a local community center about overcoming adversity. Standing before a group of young people facing their own challenges, Emma shared her story candidly. She spoke about the times she had felt overwhelmed, scared, and alone, but also about the power of hope, persistence, and support. Her words resonated deeply, inspiring others to keep pushing forward despite obstacles. Meanwhile, Emma worked tirelessly to find ways to keep her internship alive. She contacted local businesses, wrote letters to potential sponsors, and even proposed a community fundraiser to support the startup's work. Her determination caught the attention of a small group of local engineers who offered to mentor her and provide resources. Though the path was uncertain, Emma felt a renewed sense of agency. The challenges she faced were not barriers, but catalysts that pushed her to grow and innovate in ways she hadn't expected. Throughout this difficult season, Rachel remained a pillar of strength and encouragement. Despite her own struggles, she never stopped believing in Emma's potential. "Life will throw curveballs," Rachel told her one evening, "but it's how you swing that counts." Emma took those words to heart, using them as a mantra in tough moments. By the end of the school year, Emma had learned valuable lessons about resilience, balance, and the importance of community. The setbacks had shaken her but had also strengthened her foundation. She understood now that the journey toward her dreams would not be a straight line but a winding path filled with both light and shadow. As summer approached, Emma prepared to face whatever came next with courage and hope. She knew the road ahead would be challenging, but she also knew that with the support of her family, friends, and mentors, she could navigate the twists and turns. The universe was vast and unpredictable, but Emma was ready. Ready to face unexpected challenges head-on and continue reaching for the stars. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Emma's 10th grade year began with a renewed sense of purpose, but it quickly became clear that breaking barriers, both external and internal, would be her greatest challenge yet. At school, she enrolled in advanced STEM classes where she was often the youngest and sometimes the only girl. The academic rigor was intense, and the subtle undercurrents of bias and doubt from peers occasionally surfaced in whispered comments and sideways glances. Yet Emma refused to let these moments deter her. She knew that breaking into a traditionally male-dominated field would require more than just talent. It demanded resilience, confidence, and unwavering belief in oneself. Emma found support in unexpected places. Her physics teacher, Mr. Hernandez, became a mentor, encouraging her to ask tough questions and pursue research projects that pushed her limits. "Don't just learn the answers," he told her one day. "Learn how to ask the right questions." That's where real discovery begins. Inspired, Emma dove into a project exploring sustainable propulsion methods for small spacecraft, a topic she hoped could one day contribute to reducing the environmental impact of space travel. She spent countless hours in the school lab and her garage workshop, testing prototypes and running simulations. Outside the classroom, Emma continued to advocate for young girls interested in STEM. She helped organize an annual Girls in Science Day at her school, inviting female engineers, astronauts, and scientists to speak and mentor students. The event quickly became popular, sparking enthusiasm and empowering girls who had felt invisible in the sciences. Emma took pride in seeing her peers' confidence grow, understanding that representation mattered deeply. But breaking barriers was not only about academic or social challenges, it was also a fight within herself. There were nights when Emma doubted whether she was enough, whether her dreams were too big or unrealistic. The pressure to succeed, the fear of failure, and the lingering scars from past bullying weighed heavily. On one particularly difficult night, she sat alone in her room, staring at a photo of her and Elon Musk from that unforgettable day. The memory filled her with both hope and anxiety. "Am I really meant for this?" she whispered to the empty room. The answer came unexpectedly the next morning. During a school assembly, a surprise announcement was made: Emma had been nominated and selected to receive a prestigious national award for young innovators. The recognition brought media attention and invitations to speak at conferences and workshops across the country. Suddenly, Emma's small-town story was becoming a beacon of possibility for thousands. With the spotlight came new pressures. She was no longer just a student or a girl with a dream, she was a role model. Every word she spoke, every project she undertook, carried weight. Emma grappled with the responsibility, striving to remain authentic and grounded while navigating the complexities of public attention. Emma's family remained her anchor through it all. Rachel, now stronger and more involved in community health initiatives, reminded Emma to take care of herself. Jake, who had grown into a confident and curious teenager, was her biggest fan and occasional tech assistant. Together, they celebrated every milestone and supported each other through setbacks. One turning point came when Emma was invited to visit a NASA research center. Walking through the halls where some of the greatest minds in aerospace worked, she felt a profound connection to a legacy of exploration and innovation. She met scientists who shared their own stories of overcoming barriers and breaking new ground. Their words reinforced her commitment to push forward, not just for herself, but for the generations to come. Returning home, Emma channeled her experiences into a new project, a mentorship program linking young students with STEM professionals. She envisioned a future where barriers would be replaced by bridges, where passion and talent could flourish regardless of gender, background, or circumstance. Emma's journey was far from easy, but with each challenge overcome, she carved a path forward not only for herself but for others who dreamed big. Breaking barriers was no longer just a goal, it was her mission, one that would shape the rest of her life. Emma's journey into her junior year brought with it an unexpected gift: the power of connection. While her passion for science and space exploration continued to drive her, it was the relationships she nurtured that began to shape her future in profound ways. The network Emma had built, friends, mentors, teachers, and supporters, became more than just a backdrop to her story. They became her greatest strength. At school, Emma's science club had blossomed into a thriving community of curious minds. Students from all grades joined, eager to explore and innovate. Emma realized that leadership wasn't just about pushing her own ideas but creating space for others to shine. She encouraged club members to propose their own projects, fostering collaboration and creativity. The energy in the room during meetings was electric, filled with laughter, debate, and shared discovery. One member, Carlos, a quiet but brilliant student, caught Emma's attention. Carlos had a knack for programming but struggled with confidence in presenting his ideas. Emma took him under her wing, helping him prepare for a regional science fair. Together, they refined his project, a drone navigation system using AI, and rehearsed his presentation until he felt ready. When Carlos won first place, the pride Emma felt was as strong as any personal victory. Emma also deepened her relationship with her mentor, Mr. Hernandez, who introduced her to a network of professionals eager to support young talent. Through virtual meetings and workshops, Emma connected with engineers, scientists, and entrepreneurs from across the country. These connections opened doors to internships, scholarships, and collaborative projects that expanded her horizons beyond what she had imagined. Outside academics, Emma found strength in friendships that reminded her of the importance of balance and joy. Maya remained a steadfast companion, sharing both the stresses and the laughter of adolescence. They spent weekends hiking, stargazing, and simply talking about everything and nothing. These moments grounded Emma, reminding her that life was more than achievements, it was about human connection. Emma's family continued to be her anchor. Rachel's health had stabilized, allowing her to pursue her passion for community health advocacy more actively. Rachel often attended Emma's club meetings and events, sharing stories about perseverance and the power of hope. Jake, now a high school sophomore, was exploring his own interests in environmental science, and the siblings found common ground in their curiosity about the world. One of the most profound connections came unexpectedly through a letter Emma received from a young girl in a rural town who had watched her speech online. The girl wrote about feeling invisible and unheard in her own community but finding inspiration in Emma's story. Touched, Emma responded, offering encouragement and resources. This exchange sparked an idea, a pen pal program connecting students from diverse backgrounds through science and storytelling. Emma worked tirelessly to launch the program, partnering with schools and organizations nationwide. The initiative fostered empathy, cultural exchange, and a shared passion for learning. Through letters, emails, and virtual meetings, students discovered common dreams and challenges, bridging distances with the power of words. Amidst these growing connections, Emma faced new challenges that tested her ability to balance ambition with self-care. The demands of school, extracurriculars, and advocacy sometimes felt overwhelming. There were nights when doubt crept in, whispering that she couldn't do it all. But each time, Emma found strength in the community she had built. Whether a quick message from Maya, a pep talk from Rachel, or encouragement from a mentor, these connections reminded her she was never alone. Emma's story began to shift from one of individual achievement to collective empowerment. She saw how her journey could inspire and uplift others, creating ripples of change far beyond her immediate circle. The power of connection was transforming her not just as a scientist, but as a leader and a human being. As the school year progressed, Emma was invited to participate in a collaborative research project with a team of young innovators across the country. The project aimed to develop sustainable technology solutions for space habitats. Working virtually with peers and experts, Emma contributed ideas, shared data, and learned from diverse perspectives. The experience reinforced her belief in the strength of teamwork and the magic that happens when different voices come together with a common purpose. One evening, reflecting on the whirlwind of the past months, Emma wrote in her journal, "Science can change the world, but connection changes us. It's through relationships that we find meaning, resilience, and hope." This realization became a guiding principle, shaping her approach to every challenge and opportunity. Emma's story was no longer just about reaching for the stars, it was about building bridges here on Earth, weaving a tapestry of connection that could support dreams, foster understanding, and create a better future for all. The power of connection had become her greatest discovery yet. Emma's junior year was rapidly approaching its climax with a turning point that would forever alter the trajectory of her life and ambitions. The culmination of her hard work, resilience, and the support network she had cultivated came together in a way that neither she nor her family could have anticipated. It began with an email, a formal invitation from a National Science Foundation offering Emma a coveted research fellowship. The fellowship promised a summer at a cutting-edge space research institute, where she would collaborate with top scientists and contribute to a project focused on sustainable energy systems for long-duration space missions. The news filled Emma with excitement but also a heavy sense of responsibility. This was the moment she had been working toward, but it meant leaving home for several months, juggling school commitments, and stepping fully into the spotlight. As she prepared for the fellowship, Emma reflected on the path that had brought her here, the days spent in her garage lab, the challenges with balancing family health and school, the moments of doubt and isolation, and the unwavering support from loved ones and mentors. She understood that this opportunity was not just a reward for her perseverance, but a challenge to rise even higher. Rachel and Jake were immensely proud, offering encouragement and practical help to prepare for the journey. "Remember," Rachel said softly, "this is your chance to show the world what you're made of, but don't lose sight of who you are." Emma carried these words in her heart as she packed her bags. The first days at the Research Institute were a whirlwind. Surrounded by cutting-edge technology and brilliant minds, Emma felt both exhilarated and overwhelmed. The work was demanding, long hours of experimentation, data analysis, and brainstorming sessions pushed her limits. But Emma thrived in the challenge, fueled by curiosity and a determination to contribute meaningfully. She quickly built rapport with the team, her youthful enthusiasm and fresh perspectives welcomed alongside the seasoned expertise of the scientists. Yet, the turning point was not without its struggles. Midway through the fellowship, Emma encountered a significant setback. A critical experiment she had been leading showed unexpected results that contradicted their initial hypotheses. The data suggested that the proposed energy system might not be viable under certain space conditions. The disappointment was crushing. Emma felt the weight of failure intensely, fearing she had let down the team and jeopardized the project. Doubt crept in again. Was she truly ready for this? Was she capable of contributing to such complex problems? In those difficult moments, Emma's growth became most apparent. Rather than retreating, she embraced the setback as a learning opportunity. With guidance from her mentors, she revisited the data, collaborated with colleagues to explore alternative approaches, and stayed open to new ideas. The process was humbling but empowering. Emma discovered that failure was not the end but a vital part of innovation. Gradually, their revised approach showed promise. Emma's persistence and adaptability helped steer the project toward a breakthrough, a modified energy system design that improved efficiency and reliability. The success brought a surge of confidence and renewed excitement. The team celebrated the achievement, recognizing Emma's vital role. The turning point also marked a personal transformation. Emma realized that her journey was about more than scientific discovery, it was about resilience, collaboration, and embracing uncertainty. She understood that setbacks, challenges, and doubts were not signs of weakness but stepping stones toward growth and success. As the fellowship drew to a close, Emma was invited to present the project's findings at a national science symposium. Standing before a crowd of experts, peers, and media, Emma spoke eloquently about the challenges and triumphs of their research. Her presentation was met with enthusiasm and respect, solidifying her reputation as a young innovator with a bright future. Returning home, Emma felt a deep sense of accomplishment tempered with humility. She was proud of what she had achieved but aware that the journey ahead remained long and complex. The turning point had expanded her horizons and deepened her understanding of both science and herself. Emma's family welcomed her back with a celebration that was as much about her growth as it was about the fellowship. Rachel, visibly moved, expressed how proud she was of Emma's courage and perseverance. Jake teased her about becoming a real rocket scientist, and Emma laughed, grateful for the warmth and normalcy of home. Reflecting on this pivotal chapter in her life, Emma wrote in her journal, "The turning point wasn't a single moment but a journey through uncertainty, failure, and discovery. It taught me that progress comes from pushing through doubt, leaning on others, and never giving up." This insight became a guiding light as Emma continued toward her dreams. The summer fellowship had opened new doors and set new goals. Emma was invited to apply for scholarships and research grants, expanding her opportunities to contribute to space exploration and sustainability. She also began mentoring younger students, sharing the lessons learned from her own turning points. As the school year resumed, Emma carried the momentum forward with renewed vigor and a matured perspective. She knew the road would be filled with ups and downs, but she was ready. The turning point had shown her that the greatest discoveries often come from the challenges we face, and the courage we find within ourselves to keep moving forward. The days following her return from the fellowship passed in a whirlwind of activity, but Emma felt a profound calm beneath the surface. The turning point she had experienced at the Research Institute had not only shaped her scientific outlook but also expanded her vision of what was possible. She was no longer just a student from a small town with big dreams, she was becoming part of a larger community, one dedicated to pushing humanity's boundaries and creating a better future. With this new horizon in sight, Emma eagerly embraced the challenges and opportunities that awaited her. Back at school, Emma found that the respect she had earned through her fellowship translated into new leadership roles. She was asked to co-chair the STEM Council, a group responsible for promoting science and technology initiatives across the district. The position was demanding but rewarding, offering Emma the chance to influence programs that could inspire other students to pursue their passions. She spearheaded efforts to secure funding for updated lab equipment and organized workshops featuring women scientists and engineers to address the gender gap in STEM. One of Emma's proudest achievements was launching a pilot robotics program at her school, aimed at introducing younger students to coding and engineering concepts. Partnering with local businesses and volunteers, Emma helped develop a curriculum that was accessible, engaging, and fun. Seeing the excitement on the faces of 3rd and 4th graders as they programmed their first robots filled her with hope for the future. It was a reminder that every great journey begins with a single step, and that fostering curiosity early was key. Meanwhile, Emma continued her own academic pursuits with vigor. Her senior year coursework was rigorous, but she approached it with confidence and discipline. The mentorship from her teachers and the connections made during her fellowship proved invaluable as she prepared college applications and scholarship essays. Emma's ambitions had expanded beyond aerospace. She was now deeply interested in sustainable technologies and environmental science, inspired by the intersection of innovation and responsibility. Outside the classroom, Emma's relationships flourished. Her friendship with Maya deepened as they navigated the complexities of adolescence together. They shared dreams, fears, and countless late-night conversations about the future. Rachel's health remained stable, and her advocacy work had gained traction in the community. Jake, increasingly curious about renewable energy, often joined Emma in her projects, and their sibling bond grew stronger with shared purpose. One crisp autumn afternoon, Emma received an unexpected invitation, a feature story in a major national magazine profiling young innovators shaping the future. The article highlighted her journey from the initial meeting with Elon Musk to her recent fellowship and community projects. Reading the profile, Emma was struck by how far she had come, and how much farther she still wanted to go. The story would be published just before her 18th birthday, marking a symbolic milestone in her life. As the publication date approached, Emma was invited to participate in a panel discussion at a national science conference alongside other young leaders. The event was broadcast live and attended by thousands, an opportunity to share her experiences and advocate for STEM education and diversity. Emma prepared carefully, crafting a message that emphasized resilience, connection, and the importance of pursuing dreams despite obstacles. Her performance was met with praise and inspired many viewers who related to her story. Despite the growing spotlight, Emma remained grounded by the lessons learned from her family and mentors. She understood the importance of balance, of making time for reflection, rest, and relationships. She maintained her journaling habit, capturing thoughts and emotions that helped her process the whirlwind of change. Through writing, Emma found clarity and perspective, essential tools for navigating the pressures of young adulthood. As winter settled in, Emma turned her attention to college decisions. She had applied to several top universities with strong STEM programs, but was also considering smaller institutions known for interdisciplinary studies and supportive communities. The process was daunting, filled with questions about fit, finances, and future goals. Emma sought advice from counselors, mentors, and trusted adults, weighing each option carefully. In the midst of these decisions, Emma was reminded of the community that had sustained her. She continued mentoring students through the Pen Pal program and local workshops, inspired by the impact of shared knowledge and encouragement. The program had grown beyond expectations, connecting hundreds of young learners across diverse backgrounds. Emma felt proud to be part of something bigger than herself, a movement to empower the next generation. One evening, while working late on a robotics demonstration, Emma received a call from her mentor, Mr. Hernandez. He shared news of a new grant opportunity for young innovators focused on climate change solutions. "This could be your next big project," he said with enthusiasm. The challenge was to design practical, scalable technologies that could help communities adapt to environmental changes. Emma's mind raced with ideas, energized by the possibility of making a tangible difference. The new project marked the beginning of another chapter, one that blended Emma's passions for science, sustainability, and social impact. As she looked toward the horizon, she felt a deep sense of purpose and readiness. The journey that had begun with a simple conversation with Elon Musk had evolved into a life dedicated to innovation, leadership, and connection. Emma knew the road ahead would be full of challenges, but she was no longer alone. With the support of her family, friends, mentors, and community, she was prepared to face whatever came next. The new horizon was vast and uncertain, but it was also filled with promise, and Emma was ready to explore it fully. As Emma stepped into her senior year, the excitement of new opportunities mingled with the reality of mounting pressures. The horizon she had envisioned was filled with promise, but the path forward was anything but smooth. The storm she was about to face tested her resilience in ways she had never imagined, challenging her resolve, her relationships, and her vision for the future. The first signs came subtly: late nights that stretched into early mornings, a growing list of commitments, and the creeping weight of expectations from herself and others. Emma was determined to excel academically, lead her STEM initiatives, and prepare for college applications all at once. The drive that had propelled her so far now risked becoming a source of exhaustion. She felt the familiar tug of anxiety as deadlines loomed and the pressure to succeed intensified. At school, the demands were relentless. Advanced classes required deep focus and critical thinking, while extracurriculars called for energy and creativity. The robotics program she had launched was thriving but needed constant attention to keep growing. Emma found herself stretched thin, often sacrificing sleep and downtime. The toll on her mental and physical health became apparent as fatigue and stress chipped away at her usual enthusiasm. Meanwhile, Rachel's health took a sudden downturn. The chronic illness that had been a quiet presence in the background flared with unexpected severity, requiring hospitalization. The news hit Emma like a blow, shaking the foundation of her carefully balanced world. She spent long hours at the hospital, juggling schoolwork and caregiving with the support of Jake and close family friends. The emotional strain was overwhelming, and moments of despair crept in despite her determination to stay strong. Emma's friendships were also tested. Maya, sensing Emma's stress, reached out with concern and support, but Emma sometimes pushed her away, unwilling to burden others with her struggles. The isolation that followed deepened her sense of vulnerability. It was a painful reminder that strength did not mean going it alone. In the midst of this storm, Emma faced a critical decision about the climate change grant project she had been invited to lead. The opportunity was significant, promising resources and recognition, but the timing felt impossible. Could she commit to such a demanding endeavor while her family needed her most? Doubt clouded her judgment, and she considered stepping back, fearing she might fail if she took on too much. One evening, after a particularly long day, Emma sat alone in her room, tears streaming down her face. The weight of expectations, fears, and fatigue pressed down relentlessly. She wondered if she had the strength to continue, if her dreams were slipping out of reach. In that moment of vulnerability, Emma reached for her journal and began to write, not to prove anything, but to release the storm inside. The words flowed, capturing pain and hope, fear and determination. She wrote about the support she had received, the lessons learned from setbacks, and the love that held her steady. Writing became a lifeline, a way to confront her emotions and find clarity amidst chaos. The next day, Emma confided in Mr. Hernandez during a mentoring session. She shared her struggles and fears, expecting advice or reassurance. Instead, he listened quietly, then offered a simple truth: you don't have to be perfect, Emma. Strength is about knowing when to ask for help and how to care for yourself. It's okay to slow down and take a breath. Encouraged by his words, Emma reached out to her support network. Rachel, despite her own challenges, urged Emma to prioritize her health and well-being. Maya stepped in with practical help, organizing study groups and providing companionship. Jake took on more responsibilities at home. Slowly, the storm began to ease as Emma learned to lean on others. Emma also revisited her approach to the grant project. Rather than stepping away, she chose to adapt, delegating tasks, collaborating closely with teammates, and setting realistic goals. The experience taught her valuable lessons in leadership, balance, and the importance of community. As winter gave way to spring, Rachel's health stabilized, and Emma found renewed energy. The challenges of the past months had left scars but also strengthened her resolve and deepened her empathy. She realized that facing the storm was not a sign of weakness but a transformative process. One that prepared her to lead with both passion and compassion. Emma's senior year culminated in a powerful reflection: success was not measured by perfection or solo achievement, but by resilience, connection, and the courage to face life's storms head-on. The challenges she had weathered had shaped her into a more grounded, thoughtful, and determined young woman. With graduation on the horizon, Emma stood ready to embrace the next chapter, armed not only with knowledge and skills but with the wisdom that true strength comes from embracing vulnerability and the support of those who care. The storm had tested her, but it had also revealed the depth of her spirit and the breadth of her dreams. Emma's senior year was quickly becoming a testament to her perseverance and growth, yet it was also the stage for new challenges, barriers that threatened to hold her back just as she was ready to soar. These obstacles came not from a lack of ability or passion, but from external forces and entrenched biases that tested Emma's resolve to break through and pave the way for others like her. As the climate change grant project progressed, Emma found herself navigating not only the technical complexities of designing sustainable solutions but also the subtle resistance of some adults in the field who questioned her capabilities. At meetings, she encountered dismissive comments and patronizing attitudes, reminders that being a young woman in a male-dominated arena was still a daily struggle. Despite her proven expertise and leadership, Emma felt the sting of being underestimated. One particularly frustrating incident involved a presentation where a senior researcher interrupted her mid-sentence, questioning the feasibility of her proposal in a tone that implied it was naive. Emma's first impulse was to retreat, but she remembered the lessons learned from facing storms before. Instead, she calmly and confidently explained the research backing her design, citing data and precedents. Her clarity and poise won quiet respect, though the subtle bias lingered. These moments fueled Emma's determination to advocate not only for her projects but also for greater inclusion and respect within the STEM community. She began organizing workshops and panels focused on diversity and equity, inviting speakers who had overcome similar barriers. Emma wanted to create spaces where young women and underrepresented groups could find support and empowerment, breaking the silence around systemic challenges. At school, Emma also confronted barriers in college admissions and scholarship processes. While her academic record and achievements were strong, she faced questions about her background and how she planned to fit in at elite institutions. Navigating these conversations required resilience and self-advocacy. Emma learned to articulate her vision for contributing to campus communities and how her unique experiences enriched her perspective. Throughout these challenges, Emma leaned heavily on her network. Maya and Jake provided unwavering emotional support, while Rachel reminded her of the importance of self-worth and pride in one's identity. Mentors like Mr. Hernandez helped her prepare for tough conversations and encouraged her to use setbacks as fuel rather than deterrents. The Pen Pal program Emma had launched also became a source of inspiration. Letters from young girls in underserved communities shared stories of feeling invisible and unheard, yet finding hope in Emma's journey. These voices strengthened Emma's resolve to break barriers, not just for herself but for those who would follow. One day, Emma was invited to speak at a national conference on youth leadership and STEM equity. Standing before an audience of thousands, she shared her story candidly, the triumphs and the barriers, the moments of doubt and the power of perseverance. Her words resonated deeply, sparking conversations and connections that extended far beyond the event. Following the conference, Emma received messages from educators, activists, and students expressing gratitude and solidarity. The impact of her voice reinforced the importance of visibility and advocacy. Emma realized that breaking barriers was not just about individual success but about transforming systems and cultures to be more inclusive and just. As college acceptance letters arrived, Emma felt a mix of relief and excitement. She was admitted to several prestigious programs but chose a university known for its commitment to social justice and interdisciplinary innovation. The decision reflected her desire to blend technical expertise with advocacy, continuing to push boundaries in multiple arenas. Emma's final months of high school were filled with bittersweet moments. Graduation celebrations brought joy and reflection on the journey from a curious 9-year-old who spoke to Elon Musk to a confident young woman ready to make her mark. The support of family, friends, and mentors was a constant reminder of how far she had come. In her valedictory speech, Emma spoke about breaking barriers, not as an abstract concept but as a lived experience requiring courage, solidarity, and hope. She urged her peers to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth and to lift others as they climbed. The applause that followed was not just for her words but for the spirit she embodied. Emma's story was no longer just about personal achievement. It had become a beacon for others navigating their own storms, a testament to the power of resilience, connection, and the unyielding will to break through barriers and create a more equitable world. As she looked ahead to college and beyond, Emma carried the lessons of her journey with pride and purpose, ready to continue changing everything. The months leading up to college were a whirlwind of preparations, farewells, and deep reflection. Emma found herself standing on the edge of a new chapter, one filled with immense promise but also uncertainty. The leap from the familiar world of home, family, and high school into the vast, unknown landscape of university life was daunting. Yet, it was a leap Emma was determined to take with courage and an open heart. Packing her belongings in the small room that had witnessed years of growth, struggle, and triumph, Emma felt a mix of nostalgia and excitement. Every object, her worn journal, the robotics kits, photos with family and friends, carried a story of perseverance and hope. Leaving behind the comforts of home meant stepping into a space where she would have to define herself anew, build fresh relationships, and navigate challenges without the immediate safety net she had long relied upon. Her family gathered around on moving day, their support unwavering. Rachel, though still managing health concerns, offered words of encouragement that echoed the deep love and pride in her eyes. Jake cracked jokes to lighten the mood, reminding Emma to show them what you're made of. Maya's presence was a balm, a promise of friendship that would bridge the distance. "We've got this," she said simply, squeezing Emma's hand. The journey to campus was filled with vivid impressions. The sprawling green quads, bustling student centers, the hum of new faces and possibilities. Emma's heart raced as she walked through the gates of her university, feeling both small and significant in the midst of the crowd. Orientation events introduced her to diverse groups of students, professors, and resources, each encounter weaving threads into the fabric of her new life. Academically, Emma was challenged as never before. The pace was intense, the expectations high, and the material complex. Yet, each lecture and lab fueled her passion and curiosity. She thrived in seminars that encouraged debate and creativity, relishing the opportunity to explore interdisciplinary connections between engineering, environmental science, and social justice. Her professors recognized her dedication, offering mentorship that expanded her horizons. Socially, Emma navigated the delicate balance of forging new friendships while maintaining ties to home. Late-night study sessions gave way to spirited discussions about the future, ethics, and innovation. Emma found herself inspired by peers who, like her, carried stories of struggle and ambition. Together, they dreamed of changing the world. Yet, the leap was not without its challenges. Emma grappled with moments of loneliness and self-doubt, questioning whether she truly belonged among such accomplished peers. The pressure to excel sometimes felt overwhelming, and the absence of family during difficult times was keenly felt. These moments tested her resilience, echoing the storms she had weathered before but in new, unfamiliar ways. To cope, Emma returned to her journaling, writing late into the night to process emotions and reaffirm her goals. She also sought support through campus counseling and student groups dedicated to mental health and inclusion. These resources became lifelines, helping her cultivate self-compassion and balance. Emma's involvement in research continued to grow. She joined a lab focused on developing renewable energy solutions for urban environments, contributing to projects that combined technical innovation with community engagement. The work was demanding but fulfilling, reaffirming her commitment to meaningful impact. She also took on leadership roles in student organizations promoting diversity in STEM, organizing workshops and outreach programs. Emma's voice gained strength and reach, inspiring others to overcome barriers and pursue their passions. Her experiences had come full circle, now she was helping light the way for others embarking on their own leaps. The leap also brought unexpected opportunities. Emma was invited to speak at a national conference on sustainable innovation, sharing her journey and research findings with a wider audience. The experience was both exhilarating and humbling, reinforcing her belief in the power of storytelling and connection. Throughout her first year, Emma discovered that the leap was less about a single moment and more about continual adaptation and growth. Each challenge faced, each relationship built, each lesson learned was a step forward. The leap was ongoing, a journey rather than a destination. As the academic year drew to a close, Emma reflected on her transformation. She was no longer the uncertain teenager who had once nervously prepared to speak with Elon Musk. She was a confident, compassionate leader equipped with knowledge, experience, and a deep sense of purpose. The leap into university life had tested her limits but also expanded them. It had taught her that courage was not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite it. Emma knew the road ahead would hold new storms and triumphs, but she was ready to meet them head-on. Standing on the threshold of her sophomore year, Emma embraced the vast horizon before her. A horizon shaped by the leap she had taken and the limitless possibilities yet to come. Despite the new beginnings and the excitement of university life, Emma found that echoes of her past often surfaced in unexpected ways, reminding her that growth was not a straight line. Memories, old fears, and unresolved feelings would sometimes wash over her, challenging her progress and prompting deep reflection. These echoes became a powerful catalyst for understanding herself more fully and forging a path forward with greater clarity. One quiet evening, as Emma sat in her dorm room reviewing research notes, her phone buzzed with a message from her mother. It was a photo from home, Rachel smiling softly, holding an old family album. The image stirred a wave of nostalgia, transporting Emma back to childhood moments filled with warmth, struggle, and love. She recalled how Rachel's illness had shaped their family dynamic, instilling in her a profound sense of responsibility and empathy but also moments of fear and frustration. That night, as Emma flipped through digital photos of her early years, she was struck by the resilience her family had shown. The sacrifices, the laughter amid hardship, and the unwavering bonds had all contributed to the person she had become. Yet, beneath that strength, she realized there were wounds that still needed healing, silent moments when pain had been hidden to protect others. These reflections prompted Emma to reconnect with her family in new ways. She arranged more frequent video calls with Rachel and Jake, sharing her experiences and listening to theirs with renewed openness. The conversations deepened their relationships, bridging the physical distance with emotional closeness. Emma recognized that while she was forging her own path, her roots remained essential to her identity and grounding. At university, Emma encountered challenges that echoed old patterns, moments when self-doubt threatened to undermine her confidence or when pressure to perform felt overwhelming. These experiences reminded her of the fears she had faced as a child, the voice inside that questioned her worth and ability. However, armed with greater self-awareness and support systems, Emma learned to face these doubts head-on, reframing them as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles. One significant moment came during a collaborative project where tensions arose between team members. The conflict mirrored dynamics Emma had observed growing up. Miscommunication, unmet expectations, and emotional undercurrents. Drawing on her experiences and emotional intelligence, she facilitated a conversation that helped the group acknowledge feelings and realign goals. The resolution strengthened their collaboration and reinforced Emma's confidence in her leadership. Simultaneously, Emma delved deeper into her research on sustainable technologies, driven by a desire to contribute solutions that honored both innovation and humanity. Her work began to incorporate not just technical design but also social impact assessments, recognizing that technology must serve people's needs and respect communities' voices. This holistic approach reflected her evolving perspective shaped by both academic rigor and personal insight. Emma's engagement extended beyond campus. She volunteered with organizations supporting families affected by chronic illness, sharing her story to raise awareness and foster community. These activities connected her past to her present purpose, transforming personal history into advocacy and hope. As the semester progressed, Emma faced another test, an unexpected invitation to participate in a televised panel discussion about youth and innovation. The opportunity was exciting but also intimidating, bringing her back to the early days when speaking publicly had felt daunting. Preparing for the panel, Emma grappled with anxiety and the weight of representing her generation's hopes and challenges. On the day of the broadcast, Emma drew strength from the echoes of her journey, the support of loved ones, the lessons learned from storms weathered, and the conviction that her voice mattered. She spoke with authenticity and passion, sharing her vision for a future where technology and empathy coexisted. The positive response from viewers reaffirmed her impact and encouraged her to embrace visibility as a tool for change. Throughout these experiences, Emma's understanding of herself deepened. She realized that the past, with all its complexity, was not a chain but a foundation. The echoes of joy and pain, strength and vulnerability, shaped her resilience and compassion. Embracing this complexity allowed Emma to move forward with greater integrity and purpose. As spring blossomed on campus, Emma took time to reflect in a quiet garden. The tranquility of the space mirrored the calm she sought within, a calm born not from perfection but from acceptance and growth. She wrote in her journal about the intertwined nature of past and present, the importance of connection, and the endless journey of becoming. Emma's path was not linear, nor was it free of struggle. But with each step, each echo acknowledged and integrated, she grew more confident in her ability to shape her future. The past was a teacher, the present a canvas, and the future a horizon of possibility. Emma's story continued to unfold, rooted in the echoes of her past yet reaching boldly toward the promise of what was yet to come. Emma's second year of college unfolded with a fresh sense of purpose and expanding horizons. The lessons from the past and the challenges of her first year had crystallized into a confident drive to explore new opportunities and deepen her impact. This chapter of her life was about growth, not just academically, but personally and socially, opening doors she had only dreamed of before. The campus buzzed with energy as Emma took on more leadership roles in student organizations focused on sustainability and social justice. She spearheaded initiatives that connected engineering students with local communities, fostering projects that addressed real-world environmental challenges. Emma's ability to bridge technical knowledge with social awareness made her a respected figure on campus and beyond. One such project involved collaborating with a neighborhood facing industrial pollution issues. Emma and her team worked closely with residents to develop air quality monitoring tools and advocate for policy changes. The experience was eye-opening, revealing the complexities of environmental justice and the importance of inclusive innovation. Emma's role was both technical and human, requiring empathy, communication skills, and perseverance. Meanwhile, Emma's academic pursuits reached new heights. She began an independent research project on sustainable materials, exploring alternatives to plastics that could revolutionize manufacturing. The work was demanding, filled with experiments, data analysis, and setbacks. Yet, each obstacle sparked creativity and determination. Emma found joy in the process of discovery, fueled by the knowledge that her efforts could contribute to a healthier planet. Socially, Emma's circle widened. She forged friendships across disciplines and backgrounds, enriching her perspective and support system. Late-night conversations about ethics, dreams, and fears became a cherished part of her routine. Emma appreciated how these connections deepened her understanding of community and collaboration, essential elements for lasting change. However, the journey was not without its challenges. Balancing academics, leadership, research, and personal life required constant adjustment. Emma faced moments of fatigue and self-doubt, especially when progress seemed slow or setbacks loomed large. These moments tested her resilience, echoing earlier storms but now met with greater self-awareness and strategies for self-care. One particularly difficult period came when a key experiment failed repeatedly, threatening the timeline of her research. Frustration and discouragement surfaced, but Emma leaned on her mentors and peers for guidance. Through their support and her own perseverance, she identified new approaches and adapted her methods. The breakthrough that followed was a testament to persistence and collaborative problem-solving. Emma's involvement in broader initiatives also grew. She was invited to join a National Youth Advisory Council on climate policy, providing a platform to influence decisions affecting future generations. Preparing for meetings and public speaking engagements honed her skills and expanded her network. Emma felt the weight of responsibility but embraced it with determination. Amidst these commitments, Emma made time for reflection and self-discovery. She continued journaling and sought moments of solitude in nature, grounding herself in the beauty and complexity of the world she aimed to protect. These practices nurtured balance and creativity, reminding her of the interconnectedness of all things. A highlight of the year was a summer internship at a cutting-edge renewable energy company. Immersed in a professional environment, Emma gained hands-on experience, working alongside experts passionate about innovation and sustainability. The internship challenged her to apply classroom knowledge to real-world problems and inspired new ideas for her own research and advocacy. During this time, Emma also reconnected with Elon Musk's work, following developments in space exploration and renewable technology. The early conversation they had years ago had planted seeds of curiosity and ambition. Now, Emma saw the vast potential for technology to transform humanity's future, but also recognized the critical need for ethical guidance and inclusive leadership, principles she was committed to advancing. As the academic year concluded, Emma reflected on the new horizon before her. She had grown not only as a scholar and leader but as a person deeply connected to her values and community. The challenges faced and overcome had strengthened her resolve and expanded her vision for the impact she wanted to make. Emma understood that this horizon was just the beginning. A vast landscape of possibilities shaped by passion, knowledge, and courage. With each step forward, she was crafting a future where innovation and compassion walked hand in hand, where barriers could be broken, and where hope could take flight. Standing at this new horizon, Emma felt ready to embrace whatever came next, carrying the lessons of her journey and the promise of a better world within her heart. Emma's junior year brought a culmination of her efforts, ambitions, and lessons learned, a year marked by opportunities that pushed her to new heights, both literally and figuratively. It was a year defined by challenges that demanded everything she had and moments of triumph that validated her journey. The summit Emma aimed for was not merely academic success or accolades but a deeper understanding of her place in the world and the impact she could make. Early in the year, Emma received an unexpected invitation to join a select delegation of young innovators on a trip to a global summit on climate change and technology. The summit would gather leaders, scientists, activists, and policymakers from around the world. For Emma, it was a chance to step onto an international stage, to share her voice, and to absorb knowledge from the world's brightest minds. The invitation was both exhilarating and intimidating, an opportunity she knew she could not pass up. Preparation for the summit was intense. Emma collaborated with advisors and peers to refine her presentation, ensuring that her research on sustainable materials and her advocacy for environmental justice were communicated clearly and compellingly. She practiced public speaking tirelessly, focusing on articulating not just data but the human stories behind the science. The responsibility weighed heavily on her, but she embraced it with the same determination that had carried her through previous challenges. The journey to the summit took Emma across continents, introducing her to a kaleidoscope of cultures and perspectives. From bustling cities to remote villages, each environment brought new insights into the diverse ways climate change affected communities. Emma was struck by the resilience and ingenuity she encountered, the way people adapted and innovated in the face of adversity. These encounters deepened her commitment to solutions that honored local knowledge and empowered marginalized voices. At the summit, Emma found herself among luminaries and trailblazers. The energy in the conference halls was electric, filled with urgency, hope, and the collective drive to act. Emma attended panels on renewable energy, climate policy, and technological innovation, absorbing ideas that challenged and expanded her thinking. She connected with fellow youth delegates, forming bonds rooted in shared passion and vision. When it was Emma's turn to speak, nerves surged but were soon replaced by a fierce clarity. She presented her research and the community-driven projects she had led, emphasizing the necessity of inclusive innovation and ethical responsibility. Her words resonated, sparking dialogue and questions from seasoned experts and policymakers. The experience affirmed Emma's belief in the power of youth voices to influence global conversations. Beyond the formal sessions, Emma participated in workshops and strategy meetings, contributing to action plans and initiatives aimed at accelerating climate solutions. She learned about the complexities of international cooperation and the importance of bridging gaps between science, policy, and community needs. The summit was a crucible of ideas and commitments, and Emma was proud to be part of this movement. Yet, amidst the excitement, Emma also confronted moments of doubt and fatigue. The scale of the climate crisis was overwhelming, and the urgency palpable. She grappled with the tension between hope and despair, a familiar rhythm from her earlier years. Drawing on her inner resilience and the support of new friends, Emma reaffirmed her dedication to persist and to inspire others to do the same. Returning home from the summit, Emma felt transformed. The experience had broadened her perspective and deepened her resolve. She carried back not just knowledge and connections but a renewed sense of purpose, to be a bridge between innovation and humanity, to break barriers, and to elevate voices too often unheard. The rest of the year was filled with opportunities to share her experiences and expand her initiatives. Emma spoke at universities, community centers, and online platforms, becoming a recognized advocate for sustainable innovation and youth leadership. Her story inspired many, especially young women and marginalized students, to pursue STEM and activism with courage. Academically, Emma excelled, earning scholarships and accolades that reflected her dedication. Yet, she remained grounded, always emphasizing that success was a means to an end, the end being a better world for all. She mentored younger students, guiding them through their own challenges and dreams, continuing the cycle of support and empowerment that had sustained her. As the year closed, Emma reflected on the summit not as a peak reached but as a vantage point from which to see the path ahead. The summit was a reminder that change was a collective journey, requiring collaboration, persistence, and vision. Emma's story was part of this larger narrative, a narrative of hope and action in the face of daunting challenges. Standing on this summit, Emma felt a profound connection to the past, present, and future. The journey that began with a curious 9-year-old talking to Elon Musk had led her to this moment, a moment of clarity, courage, and commitment. Emma knew the climb was far from over, but she was ready to continue ascending, carrying the lessons and love that had shaped her along the way. The journey that began with a simple conversation between a curious 9-year-old and one of the world's most visionary minds had grown into something far greater than Emma ever imagined. Now, standing at the threshold of graduation, she reflected on how that moment had shaped her life, and, in some ways, the future of innovation itself. The story that once felt like a dream had become a beacon of possibility for countless others, showing that age, background, or circumstance did not limit the power to inspire change. Emma's early conversation with Elon Musk was not just a fleeting encounter, it was a spark that ignited a fire within her. Her thoughtful question about how to make technology more accessible and compassionate had resonated deeply, prompting Musk and his team to rethink aspects of their outreach and mentorship programs. That interaction planted seeds of dialogue that rippled beyond the immediate moment, influencing corporate culture and inspiring new youth initiatives across industries. But the real change came from Emma herself. The courage to speak up at 9, the persistence through years of challenges, and the unyielding belief in a better future had transformed her from a hopeful child into a dynamic leader. Emma's story became a testament to the power of voice, empathy, and resilience. She showed that sometimes the simplest questions could provoke the most profound shifts. Graduation day was a kaleidoscope of emotions: pride, relief, excitement, and a touch of melancholy. Emma wore her cap and gown with a sense of accomplishment that was both personal and collective. Family, friends, mentors, and peers gathered to celebrate not just academic achievement but the journey of growth, struggle, and transformation that had defined her college years. During the ceremony, Emma was invited to give the commencement speech. Standing before the crowd, she felt the weight of the moment and the fullness of her story. Her voice steady and warm, she shared reflections on the unexpected power of curiosity, the importance of embracing vulnerability, and the responsibility each person holds to contribute to a more just and compassionate world. She spoke about her conversation with Elon Musk, not to boast, but to illustrate how opportunities often arise from the willingness to ask questions and engage authentically. They let a 9-year-old talk to Elon Musk, she said, and what she said changed everything. Not because it was the answer, but because it was the beginning of a conversation that challenged us to rethink what's possible. Emma urged her classmates to embrace their own stories, to listen deeply, and to act boldly. Our future, she said, depends not on perfection but on persistence. Not on certainty but on courage. And not on one voice, but on all of ours, speaking together. After the ceremony, Emma's story continued to ripple outward. She published a memoir detailing her journey, blending personal narrative with insights on innovation, leadership, and social responsibility. The book resonated widely, inspiring readers from diverse backgrounds to pursue their dreams and advocate for change. Emma also launched a foundation focused on empowering young people, especially girls and marginalized youth, in STEM fields. The foundation offered mentorship, scholarships, and platforms for youth-led innovation. It was a living legacy of her belief that change was collaborative and inclusive. Her work caught the attention of leaders in business, education, and government, leading to partnerships that amplified her impact. Emma remained humble yet determined, always emphasizing the collective nature of progress and the need to listen to diverse voices. Reflecting on the years, Emma understood that her story was not just about personal achievement but about the threads that connect us all: family, community, mentors, and moments of courage. She carried the lessons of love, sacrifice, and resilience from her family, the inspiration from her early encounter with Elon Musk, and the growth from every challenge faced. The shocking punchline, she realized, was not a single revelation but the ongoing truth that anyone, even a 9-year-old, can change everything by daring to speak and act from the heart. Emma's life was a vivid reminder that every voice matters, and every story has the power to shape the world. As Emma looked toward the future, she felt a profound sense of hope and responsibility. The world's challenges were immense, but so was the potential for innovation, compassion, and collaboration. Emma's journey had taught her that the greatest change comes not from one person alone but from the courage to start conversations, build connections, and persist through adversity. The story that began with a simple question had blossomed into a movement, one that would continue to inspire generations to come. Emma knew her path was just beginning, and with every step, she carried the light of that first conversation, illuminating new possibilities and new beginnings. Life, she now understood, was full of surprises. But love, curiosity, and the courage to speak up would always lead the way. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?